Okay, we are back in open session. Thank you very much for your patience. I move that we adjourn our special board meeting our special meeting for Monday, May 4th, 2015. No, that's in the next meeting. I move that we adjourn our meeting. Second, Mr. Paredes. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay. Okay.
All right. This evening, we are now beginning the reorganization of the board meeting scheduled for May 4th, 2015. After me, I have a roll call, please.
Okay. Paredes?
Here.
Odom? Here. Carroll? Here. Marks? Present. Langston? Here. Simmons?
Here.
Lunsford?
President, the quorum is present. First on the agenda is the approval of the board minutes for past board meetings, for the board meetings for April 13, 2015, April 13, the executive session minutes for April 13, 2015, and the Sportsman Board of Education meeting on April 27, 2015, and our executive session on April 27, 2015. I will motion that we accept the minutes as presented. Is there a second? Second. Are there any comments or discussion around the minutes? If not, may we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Okay, Carroll? Yes. Langston? Yes. Simmons?
Abstain.
Odom? Yes. Paredes?
Yes.
Marks? Yes. Lunsford?
Yes, and the motion passes. Next on the agenda is the approval of administrative contracts. I move that we accept the contracts as presented by the administration. Is there a second? Okay, and before we do this, I would just like to say, is the board okay doing all the contracts at once, or did you want to do them individually?
I'm fine with doing it all at once.
Okay, and I'm okay with that as well. Okay, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Okay, Langston? Yes. Odom?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Marks? Yes. Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Abstain.
Lunsford?
Yes, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is approval of salary increases for non-scheduled support staff for the 2015-16 school year. I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation for raises made by the administration. Mr. Paredes, is there a second? Mrs. Harrell, may we have a roll call, please, Kathy?
Okay, Odom?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Marks? Yes. Langston? Yes. Lunsford?
Yes, and the motion passes. Next on the agenda is public comments. Although no one signed up for public comments, rumor has it that there are two students.
Okay.
There are two students that would like to approach the board, so I think we give them special consideration. Please come forward. Go ahead, young man.
Hi, I'm Nathan Eckley, and I'm in third grade at Western Avenue School. I'm Oliver Paredes, and I am also in third grade at Western Avenue. We have noticed that there is a Girls on the Run club. We think it's a great idea. However, we think it's unfair that it's only for girls. So we would like to start a boys' fitness club, a club that will meet after school and include fun games and sports like soccer, flag football, dodgeball, and tennis. We are also open to other ideas. We think a boys' fitness club would be fun and it would be great exercise. It would also provide opportunities to practice cooperation, good sportsmanship, and promote a healthy school culture for both boys and girls. Thank you.
Thank you both for your very well done presentation. We will ask the administration to take your suggestion into consideration. Mr. Duster, please make sure you report back to our young students there.
Thank you, boys.
We do have some more audience comments. Mr. Caballo?
Good evening. My name is David Carvalho. I served on the board from 1995 to 2007, from 97 to 2007 as board president. And when I left the board, one of the things that I thought was important to do was not look back and not get involved, and that's what I did. But I did come back one meeting, and it was 2 years ago, to thank Dr. Dreyfus, because I knew he was leaving as board president, and I thought it was important to thank him because it's a thankless job. I figured there should be at least one person in the audience thanking him as he left. And so when I heard that this was your last meeting, I wanted to come and do the same thing. Again, thank you, Mr. Lunsford, Greg, for your service as president. Again, it's a thankless job, and my advice is also to not look back. But since I do have a couple of moments, there's one other thing. I haven't been involved in the district the last 8 years and haven't been looking at the zigs and zags of what's going on, and I think that's useful. During this last election, I did become familiar with some themes, and there's one that really resonated with me, and I just wanted to offer my experience and some suggestion to everyone. It is very easy to get all wrapped up in minutia. And suddenly, the choice of a book, or the assignment of a teacher, or some other specific thing becomes the predicate for World War III. And one of the things that I saw over 12 years, and I've got to admit, in my early years, I was one of those people, is the impact that stuff like that has on the body that is the district is incalculable. So the tone that you set as board members, the tone that the community sets as participants in meetings, and the tone that the people who work here all set is vitally important to the health and well-being of the district. And as a resident, 25-year resident, hope to reside here until I don't reside, it's important to me that the district succeed. So I encourage everyone who's leaving the board, everyone who's staying, everyone who's coming onto the board, to keep in mind that everything affects everything. And let me give you one anecdote, and then I'll sit down. During my time, we had 4 superintendents, 1 interim and 3 permanent. And for a variety of reasons, we tangled quite a bit with the first one. And ultimately, the board removed him. And at the time, we thought that was the right thing. And I still think it was probably the right thing. But the consequences of that kind of turmoil, when we did our recruiting for his successor, the best candidate who wanted to come to our district, because they read the papers and they saw, it wasn't an internet then, but they saw what was going on, the best candidate was somebody who had been fired by his previous district for inappropriate sexual behavior with a subordinate. And that was our best candidate. We were lucky he found a different job and we didn't have to explain to the community, and we took our second best candidate. So everything you do has an impact on everything, on people thinking about moving to the district, on people thinking about staying in the district, about people who want to come work in the district. And if everything turns into World War III, people have choices. And they can go to a district where World War III isn't fought over a book selection or a teacher assignment or the floor plan of the building. And administrators have choices. So I encourage everybody that a district works best when you are all working together. And a board working together, to some people, looks like a board not asking questions or a board doing whatever the administration asks. That can be a board that works well together because the administration has met the questions that the board members have raised, has anticipated what they want to know, and it's all been discussed in committee or beforehand. So just caution everybody, you're dealing with a living organism, and try to keep it well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Pastor Anthony Pitts, Senior.
Good evening, everybody.
Used to speaking publicly, however, I wanted to honor the superintendent, the entire board, president, and to residents alike. I wanted to congratulate, I wanted to come here personally. My name is Pastor Anthony Good Senior. I'm the senior pastor of World Harvest Church. I've been here in Chicago Heights for about 18 years. Got involved in some local politics, so I've been kind of immersed in trying to make a difference there. Never really took into consideration or realized the magnitude of what's needed here in our school districts. I live here in Chicago Heights, 238 West Elmwood Drive. Wanted to, if this is in order, personally congratulate the new board members that are coming aboard, and to say to them, specifically Merle Huckabee, who is one that I supported, and we pray that we can do a real good job at impacting this district and making it a better place for our children and for residents. I have to say one thing, because I guess if I wasn't a preacher, I would have been an activist. I certainly have heard certain things concerning this district. I can't deny that. I'm a pretty candid person, so I don't like to put on facades or carry airs, but I certainly would hope that I could come in and just learn a fresh sheet of paper and hopefully realize that we could do things that would be for the betterment of our children, and ultimately residents, taxpaying residents that live in this area. I won't take more than another minute. When I first started preaching, if you took too long, they rang a bell to teach you how to stay within a certain amount of time. So I'm here with a fresh sheet of paper. I don't know a whole lot about the dynamics and the inner workings and the infrastructure of the district. However, I pray that we can all work together, because if we don't, I get real militant in an intelligent way. And I like to fight for good stuff. So congratulations to everybody, and we wish you well.
Thank you. Next one on the list is Jen. I apologize if I'm reading your name incorrectly. It's Efley. Jen Efley?
Oh, no, I just signed in for boys.
Oh, you just signed in for the boys. Okay. And then Loretta Marsh.
Good evening, my name is Loretta Marsh, better known as Mimi in the district. I've been a member of this district for the past 9 years, and I have worked through several administrations and superintendents. I just want to say to Greg Lunsford and Sophia Bailey Langston, thank you for the wonderful job you guys have done for our children. You work really hard. You put them before your families and yourselves on many different occasions. You've done things that needed to be done, and where you couldn't get it done, at least you tried. So I just want to say thank you. We really appreciate the hard work that you're doing. I'm graduating from the district myself, but I'm still going to miss you guys being in these positions. I'd also like to say welcome to Merle Huckabee and Michelle Hora. Welcome to the board, and I'm going to still be around to come to the meetings. I still live here, so I can still come to the meetings and support whatever needs to be supported. So I just wanted to say thanks for a job well done. And
Thank you all for your kind comments. Next is the resolution declaring the results of the election. Mr. Duster?
Yes, we have the resolution. Did you want to waive the reading of it and just have me announce the name?
Sure, that would be fine.
Okay. Since the resolution will be waived, I would like to congratulate John C. Simmons, Michelle Horth, and Merle Huckabee.
vote on the resolution. I motion that the resolution be accepted as presented.
I second.
Okay. Roll call, please, Kathy.
Okay,
Before we
Marks?
have the vote, I have some questions.
Go ahead.
I think there's not another opportunity for me to do this. I just wanted to tell everyone that it has been an honor working for School District 161. I love the kids of our district. I didn't do it just for my students. I did it for all the students because I know my two are going to be fine because they have a hell raising for a mother. I had some, when I decided not to seek re-election, it was because I had put my family first. Those of you that know, you know why. But I don't know why I'm being all teary-eyed, because I'm actually happy. I've been celebrating all day and dressed up for this occasion. But I just don't want you guys to know that it has been an honor and a pleasure working for you and with you. I am so happy that Michelle and Merle are coming on board. I feel so comfortable knowing that you guys, while you might not do it the way that I did it, you're going to do it in your own way, and it's going to be a great way. And I know the board is being left in some really competent hands. I've enjoyed working with you guys, and anything that you need, just because I'm not going to be an official board member, does not mean that I won't be here to support you. Whatever you need, just call on me. There's committee you need someone to serve on, just call on me. Administrators, if you need anything, you know you can call on me. This has been a real pleasure and an honor to work with you guys, especially you teachers. I've been fighting for you guys for 4 years, and just know that I'm still in your corner. So thank you, everyone. It may be out of order, but
We started this in the middle of a motion, so I'm just going to finish it since we've gone down this path and said, you know, I ran to serve my community, and I have been humbled by the fact that my community trusted me enough to do this role, and my peers on the board trusted me enough to be in leadership. And I very much love this community, want to see it thrive, want to see our students thrive, and I wish the new board all the best. I congratulate the new board members. I know you will do an excellent job, and if you ever need anything, I, like Mrs. Langston, I am available. So thank you so much, and I would just say I have just one parting request, if it could be granted. My child, as well as Mrs. Langston's child, graduates next month. I know it is not normal, but I would love the opportunity if we could give our children their diplomas. That's all. All right. So, Ms. Maria, may we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Marks? Yes. Odom?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Langston?
yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Lunsford?
Yes, and the motion passes. So next, just an adjournment. Mr. Duster has some comments before we adjourn.
I do. Number one comment is we have coffee and cake over here after the reorganization and before the committee of the whole. It's going to be a celebration for our new board members coming on, and a thank you for our board members who are leaving us. We greatly appreciate it. And in addition to that, we have a certificate for our two board members, and let me read it. If you could please stand. Ms.
I guess
Bailey
this is what I
Langston.
should have given my speech, right? I was a little premature.
All right, certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Leah Bailey Langston in recognition of your service to the children of Flossmoor School District 161 through your role as a board member. Thank you very much. If you could shake everyone's hand. And Mr. Lunsford, we have a certificate of appreciation. The certificate is awarded to Greg M. Lunsford in recognition of your service to the children of Flossmoor School District 161 through your role as Board of Education President. Thank you very much.
So I will move that we adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Never used this, so we're adjourned.
Ms. Huckabee and Ms. Forth, would you please step forward? Mr. Neminsky, when we swear our new board
Oh, I'm waiting on our
Actually, we'll have you, I'll bring out 2 chairs, we'll sit right here. Kind of like the teachers will bring in an interview. All right, before we take roll call on this, I do have a quick announcement since we still have people here. And that will be tomorrow night. We're having a parent university for parents who will have children entering kindergarten in the fall. This presentation will be at the Flossmoor Public Library at 7 o'clock. Information will be shared on early literacy skills, motor skills, and health. The library staff will also speak on the summer reading program. Representatives from our staff will be there to answer any questions regarding our program. So those people, if you could please, or anyone here, let everyone know to be there, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, we will start the reorganization meeting. And if I could have a roll call, please, Ms. Marina.
Okay. Let's see, I have a new sheet for that one. Okay, Odom? Here. Carroll? Here. Simmons?
Here.
Paredes?
Here.
Marks? Here, present. Huckabee? Here. Forth? Here.
Okay, thank you. We will now have the oath. I will administer that. If I could have Ms. Huckabee stand up here. If I could have Ms. Forth, and if I could have Mr. Simmons, please stand up here. If you raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jocelyn Forth,
Do solemnly swear that
do
solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
of Flossmoor School District 161
of Flossmoor School District 161
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I further swear
I further swear
that
that
I shall respect taxpayers' interest
I shall respect taxpayers' interests
by serving as a faithful protector
by serving as a faithful protector
of the school district's assets.
of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage
I shall encourage
and respect
and respect
the free expression of opinion
the free expression of opinion
by my fellow board members and others
by my fellow board members and others
who seek a hearing before the board
who seek a hearing before the board
while respecting
while respecting
the privacy of students and employees.
the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize
I shall recognize
that a board
that a board
has no legal authority
has no legal authority
as an individual
as an individual
and that decisions
and that decisions
can be made only by a majority.
Can be
may
made
be only
only
by
by
a majority.
Majority vote, sorry. Vote
Majority
majority
vote
vote.
at a public board meeting,
at a public board meeting.
and
And
I shall abide
I shall abide
by majority decisions of the board
by majority decisions of the board
while retaining the right to seek changes
while retaining the right to seek changes
in such decisions
in such decisions
through ethical and constructive channels.
through ethical and constructive channels.
Welcome to the Flossmoor School District.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Okay, at this time, we need the new Board of Education to appoint a temporary president to preside over elections for the board president. Once the board president is elected, that person will then take over. So if we could have a motion to have a temporary president, that would be great. Usually that's me. So if we have a motion, Ms. Odom, have a second? Mr. Paredes? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? At this time, I will take nominations for president. Yes.
I'll make a motion or nominate Steve Paredes for president of the board.
Okay.
I second. Accept.
You accept?
I nominate John Simmons for president of the board.
Okay, we have John Simmons. You accept?
I accept.
Do we have any more nominations? Okay. We will take a roll call vote. And if we could have a roll call for Mr. Paredes as president?
Okay, Simmons,
No?
Odom,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Marks? No. Huckabee,
Yes.
Carroll? Yes. Horace?
Yes.
Okay, we have our new president.
Thank you, sir.
On the agenda, we have election for vice president.
Do we have a nomination for vice president? Mrs. Harrell?
I make a motion to nominate Timmy Boyd Odom as vice president.
I accept.
I nominate John Simmons for vice president.
I'm sorry?
I nominate John Simmons. Okay, vice president.
Yeah, I guess I'll accept.
Are there any other nominations? No? Okay.
Seeing none, do I have a roll call?
Can we have a roll call for Mrs. Odom?
Okay. Marks?
No.
Odom?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
No.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Horace?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any nominations for secretary? Mrs. Odom?
Nominate Mrs. Harold for secretary.
I accept.
Are there any other nominations?
That's what you want.
All in favor of Mrs. Harrell, say yes.
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 All
All
right.
opposed? Thank you.
Congratulations. So, if you two ladies would like to come up and have a seat at a regular board meeting, we will then have any place. Okay? Take this one, we adjourn if you want. No, yeah, but if you want to. Everybody ready?
Okay, so the next agenda item, we're going to establish the meeting dates. Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion for us to approve the meeting dates as set in the recommendation from the administration.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Did the board wish to continue the committee of the whole practice that we've had for the past, like, 6 years? Or was the board interested, is the president interested in looking at the other arrangements possible to go forward? To go back to the committee structure as we had prior.
Mrs. Aaron, do you?
Hi, I'm glad I know this is something to bring that up too. That is something that I would like to look at.
Okay.
I would be interested in looking at going back to committees that we had before to engage the community more in practices or decisions that are made.
Okay.
Not
So
decisions,
it's
not
not-
decisions, I'm sorry.
It's still, instead of a committee of the whole where
Right.
7 people meet,
Right.
the board breaks into smaller committees for finance or whatever we choose them to be. Those committees meet and then report back to the board at a board meeting. So it's not a community, it still continues to be a meeting in public and not a public meeting. It's just a different format.
If I can ask a question then, because I want to make sure, because I'd actually like to support this, but I understand that the smaller committees, even though it's a committee in the public, not of the public, that it may give an opportunity for community members to be more engaged, at least to hear the conversations that happen, kind of, I wouldn't say behind the scenes, but as we are, having conversations around finance, or is there specific, is that correct? No.
It's just a
Same
different,
opportunity.
yeah, same opportunity.
Same-
It's
It just breaks the work up into smaller groups.
just a different format.
And it will, typically, smaller committees will run a briefer agenda, so the meetings won't last as long as we run some of the committee of the whole meetings because the agenda is so long.
And that way to be concurrent to say this room and another room? Is that what you mean?
It's up to us to determine when we want to, how many committees we want to make,
Right.
who's assigned to them, and how often they're going to meet.
Okay.
Is this a decision we have to make?
If you guys remember which one, why did we go from smaller committees to committee of the whole? I wasn't on the board. When I came on the board, it was already committee of the whole.
My recollection was that we had so many new members that they wanted to be involved in every aspect of the discussions, from finance to buildings and grounds to curriculum to you name it. Everybody wanted to be a part of every discussion that any committee might touch.
And prior to the committee of the whole being formed, the committees were of what size?
In terms of board members?
Yes.
Usually 3, I
We
think.
have 3 board members there for the meeting, it's a quorum.
How
Any
many?
board member can attend, but 3
Yeah.
members make up a committee.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have more.
And how many meetings, how many committees did we have?
4, they didn't all meet every month. We had personnel, I'm looking at Mr. Carvalho, because he will remember, we had personnel, we had facilities, we had finance, and education. Those were the 4.
Were there, just so you can speak to your history, the advantage and the disadvantage of both? So from how we run the cows before, and then what I see as the advantage of the smaller group, I'm just trying to see what will be a disadvantage besides the fact that maybe you can't get to everything at one time. What would be a disadvantage to having the smaller group or separate committees as opposed to a committee of the whole?
Not being able to meet,
Not being able to meet?
to report back.
Yeah, I mean, you have to set a day and wait to it. The committee has to meet on those dates. It's the same as being the second Monday and fourth Monday of every month. Now, you would just have that fourth Monday would be a different meeting day for each of those committees. It completely depends. I think Mr. Simmons' comment was right. I think the change was because we had a large amount of new board members. And I think at that time, the board just didn't feel we had enough 3-person groups that would be comfortable running those subcommittee meetings, those committee meetings. It means you have to have, while you can continue to, of course, ask questions of your fellow board members as they come back to report on their report outs, you operate with the faith that the board is acting with the will of the board, and you're going to come back and report out, and then there's some more discussion after that, but the larger discussion is hashed out in smaller groups. It may allow you for some more in-depth understanding. It may, I know Mrs. Odom sometimes is concerned that our meetings run too late, it gets too late, we're not paying attention. Sometimes it might be an end run around that. You can work to fully explore some of the issues. I don't know that there's I'm not bringing this up because I have a preference. I'm just bringing it up because we haven't discussed it in a while.
No, it's something that
It's a time to discuss that. It's what we do.
It seems to me that one of the disadvantages of having individual committees with 3 people minimum, 3 people, would be that, like you said, the availability to meet as a committee, and also the information, isn't received by everyone. So as Christine said, we would have to rely on the 3 person, or if 3 people couldn't make it to that meeting, 2 people receive the information and reporting it back.
And then it can't be a committee if it's 2.
And we not, right, but say that that's all that could show up that day. So it's additional meetings, in addition to, our meetings, and then the fact that we don't get all of the information and get opportunity to ask our questions ourselves for whatever presentation. But it is a benefit, to have shorter presentations, because when we have a meeting like today with the presentations for the buses and the bids and everything, that could be consolidated and then come back with just one report from one board member, and we don't have to do that number of presentations in one meeting.
Are we privy to the rest of it? I'm sure we're privy to it, but the people who are on the committee, that information still goes out. So if we'd have enough information, we would ask intelligent questions of the committee when they come back.
Going
Or
into
ahead of time.
of their meeting.
Yeah.
So 2 things. One, to Mrs. Owens' concern, discussion points. One, that information, all the information that you get now, you would still get, that you get at the committee, the whole meeting, all the information would be going forward to those smaller committee meetings. You would still be, every board member would still be presented with, they'd still get the minutes of that meeting. Also, every board member has the opportunity to attend any subcommittee meeting that they want to. You just have to, you can do that. So again, a plus and a minus. You can dig in a little more deeply into some of the issues. You can also put some more people with perhaps a little bit, if you have a board that works, has the makeup, a little more expertise in some issues, a little more finance expertise perhaps, or some personnel expertise, or things like that, who might really speak better to that smaller, and then address the larger board. The questions, the board members can always ask questions. I mean, that's never, ever discouraged or limited at the larger meeting. It's just a different option.
Can I ask one last question then with that, and this is in regards to the community, because one of the things we've been working quite a bit on is the communication and engagement of our community. Do those smaller subcommittees help that? Which, again, I know in the public, not of the public, but is that where individuals may have more of a question or concern about a particular issue that has to do with finance or curriculum, they get that. That's that subcommittee, they're going to be working on it. So is it better because then they can come in and listen to what's going on in that conversation, and it's more targeted, as opposed to sitting through the committee of the whole when what the thing they're really, really interested in maybe at 10 o'clock, and they come at 7 and sit through other things that are important. So I'm trying to think even from that perspective.
I think it's six of one, half a dozen of the other. I think it definitely allows a community member to say, I'm very interested in a facilities question. I'm going to be doing some building. I want to know specifically what's being spoken to about that. I can attend that committee meeting. I guess the flip side is, if I'm very interested in a facilities issue and I'm also very interested in
Financial, or this,
I know, a lot of financial issues, then I would have to attend some different meetings. But I don't know that there's a, I think those balance out pretty well, because I didn't ever notice that the attendance changed.
Is there any other,
I actually have a comment to the question,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to your question. I just want to say, certainly in the short term, I think would be a huge benefit for our new board members to see these committee meetings in terms of their current CAL format, because this will really give you a broad perspective of what we discuss in these different committees. So certainly in the short term, I think we should definitely maintain our current structure.
So 2 questions. So the selection of the committees, is it on a volunteer basis based on who has an interest or expertise in a particular area, or is it appointed by the president? And the second question is this the only opportunity we have to be able to change the structure?
No, I think that certainly if we all agree on something, then I think that it should be respected. But I, as board president, and certainly have an open ear to an interest in a particular area. And in fact, I'm going to encourage some of you to be on certain committees that I think you'd be excellent for, and I certainly think you'd be look at a tremendous growth opportunity as a board member. So it's, at any point over the next 2 years, if you say, I want to be on committee A, I will certainly take that into consideration.
But in terms of the structure, is this the only opportunity to go from the smaller committees and move away from the committee as a whole, or?
No, I mean, so for now, I think that it would be great to maintain this current structure. If in the future we really want to have a conversation on that, we've had time to look at the pluses and minuses and see what the literature says, listen to some experts in the field. We certainly can revisit this really at any time. So
Since we're not voting on it anyway today, this is just for a proposal, do we have enough time in the next 2 weeks before the board meeting to review the viability of not doing the committee of the whole and breaking into committees? Or do we want to go ahead and put this on the agenda for the board meeting and see what happens if we're ready to vote at that time?
I would suggest revisiting this in a discussion. And again, specifically because we have 2 new board members, I think would really benefit from the current structure and seeing a holistic scope of what we do during the committee as a whole.
So not put it on the agenda for the next board meeting, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it unless you wanted to. That would be fine, but I would discourage that. In the future, if we wanted to come back to that, absolutely, we can certainly have this discussion again.
What time frame do we have to post the meetings for next year?
We should do that now for meetings. Well, I'll ask legal.
That the one thing you have left to do is to fix your meeting schedule. You can always, in the future, adjust your meeting schedule or even adjust the structure of how you wish to meet. But tonight at the reorganization meeting, short of seating the new board members and taking the oath, the only other thing the school code requires tonight is that you fix your meeting times and place.
And then, John, but then we have an opportunity to revisit that.
You absolutely, it is not like if you adopt it tonight, you can't change it for 2 years or another year. You could change it at any time in the future you want to. If you do change it, we're going to republish notice to the community so that people know that previously scheduled meetings may or may not still be on those dates.
Just to clarify, in this current year, so honestly, we get there, the new board members have an opportunity to look through, they've been in committee of the whole for a few months, we're getting a good perspective, and then they say, you know what, let's revisit that. Somebody says, we'd like to revisit the small community meetings, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any more questions?
How does everybody feel about the 7:30 start time for the regular board meeting? Anybody want to consider moving that to 7 o'clock like we start the committee meetings?
I'd like to.
I don't have a strong opinion either way. I mean, I just assume start early. If it's a concern for people getting from work, I think that might be a consideration, but other than that, I certainly see the logic in that. I think it would make it less confusing for the public too, to discern, is it, which meeting is it, when do I exactly have to do it?
7:30. We can still do that.
So you want to make a friendly amendment to my motion to change the Board of Education meeting from 7:30 to 7 o'clock.
Yes.
I will make that motion amendment.
Do I have a second? Mrs. Huckabee?
That's right.
Did you vote?
Roll call. Harold?
Yes.
Odom? Yes. Huckabee?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, are there any new business items?
I don't know if this is a new business item, we have put it on there. We had spoken about at the last meeting we had about going to, taping the, is that new business? That's new business, right?
That would be another
Okay. Yes, I would like to make sure we are putting on the agenda the discussion and potential vote of filming and streaming our meetings and going to a simpler minute structure. A simpler minute structure.
Okay, we will make that.
To add to that item, board docs, which we use for our board packets, the program we purchased offers through their higher level service the ability to do the videos, to stream the videos online through them, and also to do the minutes right through that, which might be a better process, a process we might want to consider. It will generate minutes instantly off of the agenda after the clean minutes that we're talking about is what it does, yeah. If you read, if you go into board docs and look back through what it is and what it is not, it will guide you through that.
Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment? Mrs. Odom, second?
Second.
Mrs. Huckabee? Roll call, Mrs. Guido?
Okay, Marks?
Yes.
Odom?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Huckabee? Yes.
Meeting's adjourned.
All right, before we start the whole meeting, we have cake over here and coffee. Please have some.
Committee of the whole meeting to order. Roll call, Mrs. Moreno?
Okay, Simmons?
Here.
Odom? Here. Carroll? Here. Marks? Forrest? Here. Huckabee? Here. Paredes?
Here, and we have a quorum. First on the agenda, the Serena Hills presentation has been moved, rescheduled rather. Next week. Okay, date to be determined, but announced soon. Third on the agenda, we have bids for landscaping and storage. Can I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Well, that's a information.
Yeah, same information. We're not going to have to.
We're going to have a presentation.
Yeah.
Mr. Rigo?
Good evening, everybody. I believe you probably have in front of you a letter from our office regarding the subject of the steel shelving and landscaping for the admission department. And I thought I'd touch on that very briefly and kind of walk you through. What we did in this particular case was because the budget figure did not mandate a competitive bidding process, what we did was we basically solicited proposals for the work. And you'll see that the proposals that we received are listed on the bidder's tabulation sheet. There's two of them attached, one for the steel shelving and one for the landscaping. And the steel shelving, I'll take it in order. The landscaping package, actually, we received two proposals from Desiderio's Landscaping and one from Ambrose Landscape Services. And if you look at the bid tab, you will see that there was a base bid proposal for plantings and mulch, and then a base bid proposal for landscape, or facade, I should say. And then for maintenance. And Desiderio has actually included the maintenance portion within their bids for the other two. So the final column that you see there represents a total of all the lines across. And you will see that Desiderio's submitted a low proposal of $43,488. And this is basically for the plantings. I believe there are about a half a dozen trees we're going to be putting on the east side of the park for additions, as well as plantings, landscaping around the entrance to the building, and sodding right in the main entrance area between the parking lot will be in the building addition, as well as around the south a little bit. Any questions on landscaping? The steel utility shelving portion of the project, this is for shelving within the storage room, within the addition, as well as the storage or the garage facility that's been constructed at Parker. And we broke this out as opposed to the furnishings package that we talked about last month because it's somewhat of a specialty area, and not all of the contractors who did the furnishings, the classrooms, desks and chairs, and teacher desks and chairs that we talked about last month would have been able to bid this. So we decided it would be a good idea to break this out and really get bidders who specialize in this type of thing to give us prices on it. Now, it just so happens that the one bidder who was awarded the contract for furnishings last month doesn't have to buy this. So the low bid that we received for this material was from Frank Cooney Company, and that's our recommendation for award for the steel shelving utility. Can I answer any questions?
My same question. How, these are all within budget, under budget? How are these aligning with what you projected?
Very much so. We actually had anticipated that the landscaping budget amount when we started this was, I believe, about $30,000 higher than where these prices actually came in.
Then that actually was a question follow-up on the landscape services with the maintenance piece that you said was included. And the other one, I didn't understand. What was your recommendation?
Yes, it is. Well, it's to accept Desiderio's bid, which includes that amount in it. And had it been the other way around, we would recommend it to be accepted. Landscaping can be a little bit touchy unless it has the correct, attention once it gets planted. And that's basically what this will provide, an extended period, so to speak.
And what's the extended period? How long is this additional maintenance?
I'm not sure about that. I would have to get back to that. I believe it might be through the planting season. In other words, the landscaping will be going in, we hope, within the next month or so. So we want to make sure that everything's well established before the snow flies in wintertime.
What's the guarantee on the plants returning in the spring?
Typically, there's a 12-month guarantee on planting. So if one of the trees, for example, something happens to it, they would come back in the spring and replace it. And the same is true with the other plantings that we have.
And so the soil is in optimal condition for the new plants coming in. There's no concern about what the builders are doing different from what the landscapers are doing?
No. Actually, that'll all be prepared probably within the next week or so. You start seeing things get really fine-tuned over there. Most of the need for heavy equipment has to be call in. You'll start to see the paving take place in the next month or so. The landscaping, the reason we want to get this awarded now is so that we get those plants in and give them a chance to get established over the course of the summer. Again, with the additional attention and the sodding should not have an issue getting established, and the plant should as well. So.
Does anyone have any further questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next up on the agenda are bus leases for minibuses.
Yes. For the mini buses, Board of Education, you will see every year we have an annual lease on our buses. And that is what is being prepared, or what is being recommended to the Board of Education at our next meeting. The increase was $320 over last year. I did look at the buses this year that we currently have, because they're less than a year. We would have to put new tires on those buses. They do that annually. The cost of tires would be $800. So that is why we are recommending at this time just to get all new buses for next year. Are there any
These are
questions?
new buses?
They're brand new.
These
They're
are
the two mini buses.
These two,
These two would be,
they're released, I got you.
are your leases.
And for you to, these are the buses that we have for internal moving around with kids, the special ed kids. Preschool, pre-K.
Is the lease typically year to year?
It's a year to year.
Alrighty.
Are there any further questions? Okay, next up on the agenda is the annual financial audit. This is an informational piece.
Thank you. All right, with the audit, if I have Ms. Labella, please speak on that.
Every year, of course, we engage firms to do the district's audit. Legacy has been doing the district's audit for quite many years now. They also do the Bloom Township Treasurer's Office. And because they do the Bloom Township Treasurer, it enables us to get a discounted rate because they can gain a comfort level in the functions of the Bloom Township Treasurer as well as the district here. Their increase over last year it's a 0.3%, it's $120 over last year's rate. There is a potential for it to be, instead of $10,160, $12,160 if they have to do more than 2 federal single audits, but it would not look like they're going to have to do any more than what's already included in the $10,120. They didn't have to do any more last year, and I don't anticipate they'll have to do any more testing this year. That would get them a commitment letter. Usually they'll be out about the last week of July.
Are there any further questions? Thank you, Mrs. Labella. Next up on the agenda is the renewal of school-wide Title I plans and parent involvement.
Yes, thank you. If I could have Dr. Warwick come up, please, to explain this.
Because I don't have a voice. Hopefully you can all hear me. Come up here.
Did you want a microphone?
I don't know if that will help at all, honestly.
Okay.
So, we have 4 schools that are eligible for school-wide Title I funds. What that means is that we have schools that have poverty that are over 40%. And that means that we can use federal funds to service all students within those schools. This year, as a result of the Title I audit, we needed to include a parental involvement policy as part of those Title I plans. Each year, as the schools relook at those Title I plans, what they do is they tie those Title I plans to the school improvement plans to ensure alignment. And this year, we included that parental involvement plan as a part of that. So in your packets, you are finding their updated school-wide Title I plans as well as that parent involvement policy. This is something that we bring to the board as an informational item to you to show that we are touching this every year. It is not a requirement to touch it every year, and we think it is a very good practice to update this yearly as that part of that school-wide plan. The state really likes us to touch this every year, and so that is a practice that we have engaged in as part of that continuous improvement process. So that those plans are part of that packet for you, and the schools continue to do that yearly, and the state acknowledged that in that audit. Are there any questions?
And I'm sorry, these are the same school improvement plans that were presented in the fall, is that correct?
The school improvement plans are what the schools presented in the fall, and then their Title I plans have been updated along with what they did in those school improvement plans.
Okay.
So does the new parental involvement or parental engagement piece, is that something different than what we were already doing prior to this now having to be a policy?
And the only thing I noticed, and maybe I'm missing it and looking at the wrong thing, the level of, that's required is that that's the parent survey and feedback, that's the parental involvement piece.
And there is a little bit more detail on there what the schools had to do as far as some extra engagement activities involved in there, and each school is different. You will notice that.
You know, I did, and that's, could you give me just an example, say they gave you school?
Well, I will ask the principals actually, because they could better address that
Okay.
than I can. Ms. McGraven, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you did in your parent involvement policy?
We talked about some of the activities that we have for parents. So some of the parent nights that we've invited them to, some of the parent cafes that we've done, and the things that we've addressed there, and how the students can benefit from certain reading programs, certain websites. All of that was included this time and it wasn't in the last one.
Okay, so you just put in what you're already doing, no additional implementation of parent involvement.
We added a few things about how we can take it further, because like this was the first year of Park. So what can we do to continue to try and make it a refined process so the parents have even more information moving forward? Whereas in the past, it was just very general, the parent piece was very, very general, and now there's specific things about what we're doing and how the parents are more involved in it better than before. Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, so then we'll do a feedback from the parents to see how those involvement pieces are beneficial or not beneficial?
A lot of that will come from the surveys that we take at the building level, and then a lot of it also comes from parent cafes when the parents come in, and it's kind of just an open forum, tell us what it is that you're concerned about, and then that piece is then added based on what those concerns are.
So I have a question. So do all of the parental involvement pieces have a component where there is parental engagement where they can input their concerns and their observations and have a chance to engage in a dialogue about issues they're concerned with?
All of them.
All of them, okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. I sure appreciate that. Okay, next on the agenda, transportation data information. This is again an informational piece.
Can you pull up the PowerPoint? All right, this has been posted on our website. This is what we showed to our parents a couple weeks ago. And on the PowerPoint that you have, I don't believe you have the comments. There is a link to go to those to see what the community has stated. So we put all the comments that were given to us. Now we put names out, of course, of those parents that left that information. But I'll give you this information, and then I will give a recommendation for our next board meeting, which will be next week on the 11th, as far as reductions. So this is the transportation meeting report, and done on April 21st. Next. As the board knows, we pay $190 a day for a route. You take that times 175 days, that's $33,250. The savings with route reduction, we've looked at 6 routes, 7 routes, 8 routes. When we first brought this to the Board of Education, we were talking about 13 routes of reduction. That was a whole bunch of money. I'm very comfortable with 6 routes, making that recommendation, and that is what the recommendation I will be making next week. So if we would move to the next. This is Flossmoor Hills, you can see, and I want the board to be mindful that we are not touching the junior high. We're going to leave all their routes the same. It would only be for the elementaries. They have not been looked at in a long time, and this was overdue. So, currently at Flossmoor Hills, we have 4 routes. There's an eligible number of riders, you can see that, and we just put up 2 months of data, and that was March and April, and you can see the reduction of students. So So what we would propose would be to take two routes from Flossmoor Hills, reduce that next year, and then we put about 40 students on a bus. Now, before I go ahead, if the Board of Education accepts this recommendation for the reductions, and if we notice that there's any concerns, or if there's more kids getting on the buses, we're having those types of issues, we can always add another route. So this is something that we would monitor closely to see what is going on. In addition to that, we talk about parents were concerned about supervision on the bus routes. So we had one parent that asked us to take a look at putting supervisors on the routes, and we, to do that, our special ed routes, for example, we have one special ed route, and that route costs about additional $100 to have that person on. So what we would do currently, if we have a concern with anything with discipline on the bus, we would have a paraprofessional perhaps ride on that bus. Sometimes the principal rides on that bus. And if those concerns were to continue, then we could bring in a full-time on.
Bus capacity, number of students is?
71, 72.
Thank you.
And you said that 40, if I'm looking at, you're talking now the reduction down from March to April, because that would be a little bit more than 40 if we looked at March. Because I'm thinking the winter months, the kids, tend to take the bus. And so if we use March and April where it's spring and it's warmer, you have more kids walking, less on the bus, we might have a higher number in the wintertime. So we're talking, if we have two routes, if we consolidate Route 1 and Route 2, we're talking about, what, 80 kids?
Those are
Looking at
just,
eligible.
yeah, the eligible, those are examples, right? We don't, the most we had from the data panel was that we're looking.
I have December and January numbers, but there wasn't.
They're about the same, aren't they? We did look at those winter numbers.
It wasn't.
Okay. It was consistent. Okay.
I was thinking because of the colder Marches, you probably, colder March.
Yeah, March is cold. Any other questions on that route? Okay, next. This is Heather Hill. Now Heather Hill actually has 5 routes. What we would do is reduce 2, and that would put approximately 33 students on a bus. Next. This one is Serena Hills. They have 4 because of where they're at and how many kids are in that area. We would only reduce 1. Next.
And each route reduction is approximately about $33,000.
So Western Avenue, they currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would reduce 1, and that would put about 38 students on a bus on average. And that would put us, that'd be another reduction of 1. So the total reductions that would be recommended would be 6. We think we could be very comfortable with reducing 6. If we needed to add more, we can come back and look at that. We'll be watching. We have a meeting with the bus company this summer, once this is approved, to go over guidelines for our students, where they need to sit, all those kinds of things. Next. This is a survey responses from the people. So eligible for free transportation, there were 161 that said yes, 72 that said no. Out of the 161 eligible, do they ride? 135 do, and 26 didn't.
What's the total number of people who are eligible and the total number of people who are actually taking it total for the whole district?
Do you have those numbers?
Not for the whole district, because I didn't do that.
I mean, it's like, isn't 233 like, what, 25% of those people?
Yeah, I would say, what do we usually calculate? Around 800 for the whole district, which includes partners.
1,400 riders.
But families.
Oh, families, yeah.
That ride. Yes.
Do we know of the people who who choose not to ride, do we have some sort of feedback about why they're not riding? Taking bus?
In the comments, some of those people wrote some information
Okay.
that you can see, but
But we don't know from everybody. The reason why I'm asking is that if they're choosing not to ride because they feel that the bus stop is, it's dark, it's cold, and we then expand that and make it something where they're going to have to show up 10, 15 minutes earlier, or there can be less parents who are eligible and are going to be taking the bus from there. And that's, do we know that? Do we have any feedback on that? But that would be an excellent question.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Of eligible riders, do all families know if they're eligible or not to ride the buses?
I'll go ahead and answer that, Pam, our
Well,
coordinator.
it should be. At registration last year, they had you would get in your packet what bus number you were on and your approximate pickup time. I did those mail merge letters last year. So in each student's packet, they would have what bus you're on.
Okay, even according with the changes that were made on hazardous routes?
Okay, next slide. Acceptable amount of time on a bus, so we asked, we gave increments of 10 to 20, 20, 30, etc. And you can see that 124 responses out of the total wanted 10 to 20 minutes, 91 in 20 to 30, 18 to 30 to 40, etc. Next slide.
May I ask one question about that?
Yeah.
One of the
You
things
want to
that-
go back to that?
Yeah, that one. You had mentioned that before about how much time it was going to be added to the routes from what they previously were. But it wasn't like something huge, but I couldn't remember about how much.
15 to 20 minutes.
Add to what they're already doing?
From when the whole route, from when
Right.
it starts until it ends, is about 15, 20 minutes more. I've got a slide.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I went through this, but I can't remember. I see we have acceptable amount of time on the bus. We ask what they would find an unacceptable amount of time on the bus.
No.
Okay, that would also be an excellent question, because I think that's really, everybody, I could say, yeah, great, 10-minute bus ride. But I could see it being an issue where if it were an extra 15 minutes that threw off childcare, that threw off schedule in the morning, that's something that parents might have a very specific opinion on, that I would be interested in knowing.
Next slide, please.
I got one question.
Oh,
Again, I don't know if anybody has this offhand, but what is by law, the amount of time by law for bus riders? I think I heard that at a meeting, that there is an acceptable amount of time by law that a kid can be on the bus before and after.
right. They suggest not being on the board, they suggest by not being on the bus for 60 minutes if possible.
Both ways?
But I don't know if
Either way.
there's
Both ways?
one way.
But ours is far beneath that, period. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, next. Acceptable number of students on the bus. You can see how that came out with 20 to 30, 67, 30 to 40, 66. Those two are pretty much in the middle. 40 to 50 is 43 out of the people who submitted inputs. Next. Survey comments. So we broke these comments down into 4 categories. Category 1 was agreed with the proposal or generally agreed with it. Category 2, agreed, but would like another adult on the bus. That's when we're talking about the monitor or the supervisor. Number 3, disagreed with the proposal altogether. And number 4 was miscellaneous comments that could have been something about a special ed route, something of that nature, but these are all about the regular education. All of those comments, if you click on survey comments, will come up. And you'll be able to read those. Any questions on that? All right, next slide. These are tentative.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's great. On the PowerPoint that I have, there is no link for the survey comments.
Okay, is that the PDF we have on there?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we go to our website on the front page,
Okay.
then you should be able to click on it. With the survey comments, or excuse me, the tentative pickup times, you can see that this, for Flossmoor, Route 1 and Route 2, they both would start at 7:35 in the morning, those two routes that we have, and they would get to school before the 8:15 start time.
So the 7:35 time represents about a 15-minute earlier start time?
Earlier than it is this year. Are there any other questions? Okay. So we tried to make them all around 7:35. And next. So you can see that one. These are Heather Hill. Those routes would start at 7:35 as well. And the kids would be there. The last pickup is 8:04 in Governors, and the other one at 34, 37 once would be 8 o'clock, and then they would be going to the school. Okay, next slide. Serena Hills, those actually, the one bus route starts at 7:40, the other one at 7:50, and the other one at 7:40. And they would get there right before 8:15. And next would be Western Avenue. Those start at 7:35 for all three of those routes, and those children should arrive again by 8:15, 8:10. And that's continued with Western Avenue routes. Okay, got it? All right, are there any questions?
I have two.
Yes.
Was inclement weather taken into, when we were looking at doing these schedules, was inclement weather taken into, and the reason that I asked that question, because sometimes kids are told by the bus drivers, if the weather is bad, that they're going to come a little earlier. So was inclement weather?
Yes, we've discussed that. All of our buses have GPS, and we also monitor those through our, Ms. Majewski will monitor those. If there's a route that's late or getting to the stop, we're going to send a phone blast out to those parents so that they know. We'll try to get that out on time. Yes?
I think I may have asked this before, but since the buses have GPS, is there some sort of app by which kids could check to see where the bus is, so that, or parents could, so that they could better schedule, yes, it's time to go out to the bus, or we can wait?
I'd have to check on that. I know we would have that information, but I don't know if they would have an app for that.
I know CTA has that, but maybe that's a common, simple thing.
That would be really awesome, because I'm looking at these kids standing out there, you know, who's not getting picked up until 8:01, right, 7:35 to 8:01.
That might also alleviate some concerns that your kid is on some lonely corner surrounded by ice, you know.
So yes, I have two. This was having that information. Would that be also routed into the schools in terms of if any tardies took place?
Yeah, our schools know.
And then the other question I had, and this remind me, are the buses equipped with cameras?
All buses have cameras.
And the fee is looked at only when there's an issue?
That is correct.
So is it a reduction in the number of routes, or is it a reduction in the number of buses that are actually stopping at all of these stops that are on the routes?
That's a good question. It is a reduction of the number of routes, which, so how would they want to split that up? And they do that, but it would be routes for us because we pay $180 for a route per day. So some of the stops, for example, we're not eliminating a lot of the stops, but if you, for example, we have a house here and a house here, and in the middle there wasn't a stop, we would make those kids come to the middle to get on that bus.
So the same number of buses?
We'd probably reduce the buses, wouldn't we?
Well, we're reducing.
Because the routes would be reduced.
We're not reducing a lot of the stops. Maybe 10, 15 of them.
Are they dramatic reductions?
No.
I mean, is it,
They're gonna walk that out.
So the original proposal was 13, now to 9, now to 6. And 6 is what you're going to come with next week.
6 is what I'm going to recommend, it's about $200,000 savings.
I can support 6, but boy, it seems like a good first step. Let's see how it goes, and then let's keep looking for ways to, these buses are only half full. Even with these consolidations that we're proposing, 30 to 40 kids on a 71 or 72 passenger bus. They were pretty full when I was a kid. We were okay. But let's keep thinking as we go forward. Once this settles in and we get used to it, are there additional ways to consolidate?
Yes.
Is this, the bus consolidation, take into consideration any of the schools that have breakfast programs or anything?
Yes, we have discussed that as well, and we'll have to make accommodations for those kids when they arrive.
Okay. Oh, to provide that purpose later.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
all right, next up on the agenda is the technology equipment for marker project.
All of the technology going into the new edition, inclusive of the networking equipment, cabling, God, Tony, help me out here, all the smart boards, the mountings, the Cisco access points, all of this stuff is included in this number. What else is in there?
Pretty much the lab stuff too. There, access points, projector mounts, and the smart boards.
Yeah, all the smart boards. The nice thing about equipment, the technology equipment, is it is specifically excluded from the bidding laws of the state. And the only reason I say that it's nice is usually I like bids because it gets us the lowest price. But when it comes to technology, the competition is so fierce. And every day, you know, you buy a computer today, tomorrow it's obsolete, the new latest model is rolled out. What we have been able to do with, especially the technology stuff, is be able to get a quote and then turn around to the other competitor and go, well, so-and-so gave me this, and the next thing you know, they come out with another one, and they come back with another one, until finally somebody yells uncle, and we know we've gotten as far as we can go. We started this, for example, with the networking equipment. We started at $48,000, and we're down right now to about $36,000, maybe even lower now, but then another one came back. So we'll just keep playing them against each other until we get as low as they're going to go. We had budgeted for the project about $115,000. And right now, I think we're at like $101,750, so we're already $14,000 less than what we had budgeted, and we're not done yet. So what we were asking, because this is going to continue to play out until we get somebody to say enough, and for things like the monitor that's going to go into the main entryway, the big, you know, basically TV monitor that'll have everything projected up there too. Those models, we can wait longer on that, and when newer models come out, the model that we're bidding is clearly going to continue to drop in price. So we don't want to pull the trigger until we know we're at the bottom. So what we're asking for you to approve next Monday is a not to exceed number, which we know is going to probably be high. We're going to come in even under what we're at this point.
Are the smart boards referenced here replacements or in addition to what
Addition
you're-
for the new classrooms.
Okay, okay, thank you.
We went through the big budget exercise up and down, what we can pull in, what we can cost. How does that fit into that whole conversation around monies that we'll be approving for budget for the next year?
This is still included in the construction project. So this is all still in the under the construction. Yeah, the construction budget that you keep asking me, are we under, are we, that's the money that's still coming.
And it's still in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so you mentioned the widescreen TV in the entrance. Just for clarity's sake, what is the purpose of that? Is this the goal of having that in there? Is it an informational piece for students waiting to go in?
Yeah, it's a monitoring, it gives information to parents, to students who are waiting there, showcases, it's gonna act like the one that we have here.
Right.
It'll show things that are going on, there could be announcements taking place, it could say, no school on Friday, those types of things.
Okay, the reason why I ask is that there's a beautiful monitor in Western Avenue School in a completely empty lobby. And I've always wondered, why is this here when it seems like it would be naturally somewhere else. I wasn't part of the design committee for that. So I was curious, do we have a very specific purpose where kids will come and they'll congregate in this new egress and they will get vital information where parents will have access to ongoing FAQs? Is there like a specific purpose?
That'll be the entryway at night.
Okay.
For people to come in so they can see what's going on. That was basically the reason behind it.
Okay. And how much is each monitor?
Well, there's only one monitor for that, and what that's coming in right now at about $4,000 for including the mounted brackets and so on.
Okay. So does anyone else have any more questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
I'm just going to stand here. I'm rest of the way down.
Next up on the agenda, Mrs. Bella, we have the IMRF military service.
We have been, the board has had a request of one of the employees, one of our IMRF employees. IMRF gives optional, you can purchase service credit for time served in the military. In order for a member to make application to IMRF to have their military service turned into IMRF service, the Board of Education has to pass a resolution authorizing that. It is completely optional to the board. The cost of those years in pension costs will be added to your overall IMRF rate going forward. They amortize it over 26 years, so for the one employee right now who has requested it, it'll be somewhere around $380 a year for the next 26 years added onto your rate. With this resolution, though, know that you can't specify just this person. Once you have that resolution on file with IMRF, any IMRF employee who has passed military service can apply, and it's automatically done at that point. There is also a cost to the member, so a lot of people, don't really take advantage of it, but some do. We took a survey. We came up with, I think, 3 or 4 total employees right now for IMRF who even have military service, and at this point, only one is actually interested in using it. But again, this was a request by an employee, and it really is completely at your discretion. And they can change, they can take up to 4 years is what they can get. And it does, the calculation is based on their starting IMRF salary, so which is kind of nice. It's not their last one, so at least it is a more of a discounted rate. But again, that's going to be your pleasure.
Any idea if other surrounding districts have this resolution?
A lot of them do. My prior district did, and in the 16 years I was there, only one employee ever took advantage of it. For example, the one employee that we have now, it's going to cost them $11,000. They have to pay that over, I believe it's 2 years. So it's a pretty hefty skin in the game for them too, and that's why a lot of those employees really don't take advantage of it.
And our contribution estimate of $380 or so over the next 26 years is employee specific.
It actually gets applied to your entire IMRF rate, but the total based on what your payrolls are end up being about $384.
If we had 3 other employees
it would increase.
choose to avail themselves of this, is it $384 per? Or
No,
is
it would depend on how much their salary was. It's
So-
calculated based on pay.
So that particular estimate is employee specific,
Correct.
this particular employee that's requested. Can we undo the resolution?
My understanding is no. Once it's done, it's done.
So we would bound the district to this approach forevermore.
So to follow up on a couple of questions John just raised, is there an idea, is it like, you're looking like between 380 and 400, 200, is this can go from 380 to 1,000? I mean, what kind of?
These are not generally very high-paid employees to begin with. I would say that 380 is probably, based on the number that we calculated the pension on, I would say pretty typical, maybe even a little on the high side.
And you said that there are a couple of districts doing, passing these type of resolutions.
Yeah, they used to be, they could only get 2 years, and now they've upped it to 4. So a lot of districts have even gone from you can buy 2 years of service to 4 years of service. Now you no longer have the option of only 2 years, it's just the 4-year resolution. But some districts do have a 2-year resolution still on the books.
So the questions on the table are about more to binding the district to something that could increase costs, not significantly of our IMRF, but goodwill to those who served in the military and have.
That is the idea, which is why for most credit, when they do the calculation, it's on your last several years worth of salary. I think that's one of the reasons why IMRF has done it on the beginning salary to try and that goodwill military service.
Okay.
Is it always a 26-year amortization
It is.
schedule?
That is how IMRF.
And that's 384 per year or over?
Over 26.
What do you think, John? Based on the numbers.
No, that's good that it'll just roll. So if somebody else elects to do this 5 years from now, it's a 26-year amortization window for them. It's not, we don't set it at 26 years and then if somebody jumps in halfway through, we only have 13 left. We want as long amortization because it lowers our annual contribution that we have to do.
And this is based on this one particular employee's?
Yeah, the numbers that I gave you is based on an estimate that we ran based on the employee who's actually looking to do it.
Has this request ever come before the board of this district in the past, to your knowledge?
To our knowledge, not. We did look into with IMRF, and there's not ever been anything on file, and we couldn't find anything from the minutes that we had that would suggest that it happened.
Tell me what IMRF is.
Oh, I'm sorry. IMRF is the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. It is the pension system that non-certified employees are in. So our aides, our administrative assistants, anyone that's really not a teacher with a teaching certificate. The teaching certificates would be in TRS, teacher retirement system.
Mr. Dusser, do you have any experience with this issue in your prior
It's the first time it's been
district?
read.
Okay.
Are there any further questions? Okay, next up, we have fee waiver process.
Okay, yeah. Your board policy gives you the ability to set procedures for how you waive school fees. And this process has worked. It's been different than your free and reduced lunch application process, and that was by design. And it worked for a number of years. What we're finding now, though, is that we have a lot of students who get free lunch based on what's called direct certification. Direct certification basically means that the family has some sort of a food stamp or is getting some sort of state aid. So by definition, they had to go through a screening process and so on. When they come here, they automatically get free lunch. But we don't automatically waive their fees. Again, it wasn't a problem in the past. But what we're finding now is that people who are on free lunch aren't applying for the waiver of fees. So our waiver fee number is a lot lower than our free and reduced lunch number is. However, they're not paying fees. So they sit out as an unpaid fee for those who haven't applied, and it's kind of one of those, they can't afford it, they genuinely can't. And whether or not they're just unfamiliar with the process, uncomfortable with the process, they really would qualify if they would just fill out the form. So what we would like to do now is, since we do get a direct data dump, what the state now does is it takes its system with everyone who is getting aid, and it combines it with the student information system that goes downstate. They combine the two and come up with a list of all of our students who are automatically eligible. We would like to use that list to automatically waive the fees. It will help us with administrative costs because we're not doing that many applications. Just take care of them all in one fell swoop. They apply, they get automatically free lunch, and they'll have their fees waived. And that's what our proposal is, and that's only for direct certification. So if they are qualified under income, they would still have to go through your regular waiver process.
Are there any situations where we have individuals that are currently in this situation paying fees that would be returned, or maybe didn't know, and then, no?
I don't know that. I would have to look at. I
It's
mean,
just a question.
I suppose it is possible. I have had people come to me and say, you know what, I get the free lunch, but I would like to contribute something to my fees. And if someone ever came to us, clearly we'd allow them to pay the fees.
Do you have an idea of the total dollar amount you can attach to this?
Difficult question, and only in the reason that they're not paying. So it's not like we're losing anything because we're not taking it. So it depends on the building, and it depends on, which fee. So for example, Serena Hills, you're looking at about 70%.
That are currently not.
They qualify for free lunch, a lot of them pretty close to direct certification, and we haven't been collecting fees. So they're just sitting out.
So then, theoretically, 70% of the families could have fees that would be waived.
Are they still enjoying all the educational opportunities? There's no impact?
Really, how this really got drawn to attention as I was, going through back in the budget, and I'm looking at this going, why aren't my fees here? Well, when I started really looking, I'm like, okay, well, we use this number for fee waivers based on what waivers we had. Well, now look at it compared to my free reduced lunch numbers. They're not jiving, and that would explain why the money's not coming in, because they should be pretty well hand in hand. And when we started then pulling information out of the system and started looking and saying, okay, well, here are people who are on free lunch, how many of them have fees that are still outstanding? There were quite a few, and the reason was they didn't fill out the form. So when we pulled those out, all of a sudden the numbers made sense, and the budgeting would have made sense. And that's why we're bringing it to the recommendation.
Any further questions? Well, thank you very much. Moving on to next agenda item, the SSBC delegate approval, 2015 to 2016.
I apologize. One last question on that. You've made a statement that there may be individuals that may be unfamiliar with the process or uncomfortable with the process. And certainly that was part of when you went through your process about, okay, the solution here is to just waive the fees. What is that conversation that we think about, or is there, what is the downside to offering more education or sending direct communication to individuals who are not paying current back to just say, hey, let's help you with this, you know you're eligible, let me walk you through this if you're not, or is that just, it's too much administrative?
I guess my question on that was, so I'm going to reach out to them knowing that they're eligible. And making them fill out the paper, I'm waiting for them to get it in and so on, when I'm staring at a report from the state that says They're eligible.
So there's no downside, so I'm asking.
That's why I'm not recommending anything other than the direct search, because I know they're eligible.
Thank you.
Again, moving on to the next agenda item, the SSBC delegate approval, 2015-2016.
SSBC is the South Suburban Benefit Cooperative. It is the cooperative that has our health insurance. And every year, by bylaws of the cooperative, the board is required to let them know who the delegate will be to sit on that board and represent the school district. For the last 3 years now, it has been me sitting on as delegate, Mr. Duster as the alternate. Prior to my being here, I also sat on that same board for 16 years, so I have a lot of longevity in the group. So unless you have any druthers, I would once again be honored to serve as that representative of the SSBC for the school district.
Any further questions? Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, the homeless transportation bill from Chicago Public Schools.
This one's fun. In May of 2012, the school district received a letter from Chicago Public Schools asking that we reimburse them in total amount of $21,364 for transportation for homeless students who went to school at CPS and resided here. Part of the McKinney-Vento Act requires a school that when you have homeless people, homeless students, you should be reaching out to the school district in which they reside and mutually making decisions for transportation and then splitting the cost thereof. CPS did not reach out to Flossmoor. They unilaterally put the children onto buses, and from what CPS has told me, they put 2 children on 1 full school bus at a cost of $256 per day, and they would like us to pay half of it. Well, I didn't think that was really reasonable. So we did a little research of our own, and Smajewski called, and the company that we would have put the students into transportation for would have cost a total of $88 per day, and we would have been paying 44 of that. CPS is of the opinion that we should still pay them the $19,000 for those 2 students. They have not, however, given us any documentation to even support the fact that there were only 2 students on that bus. They've only given me their invoice, not the actual invoice from the bus company for me to even verify that there were only 2 students. But either way, had they spoken to us, we would have been more than happy to set the children up elsewhere. After speaking with board counsel, he does not believe that we are having to pay the full $19,000 because the act is very clear that they were required to reach out to us, and they did not. So what we are recommending is that we pay for the days that the students were transported to the CPS school, but at the rate of $44 a day, not the $130 a day.
And what is the grand total for that?
So the grand total, if you did the 44, would be $6,820. And then there was an additional, there was one other student who was transported for 13 days for another $1,500. So a total amount of $8,341 as opposed to the $21,364. So that is our recommendation. I don't recommend that we just ignore it completely. I just say that we bring it more to what a reasonable cost would have been had they spoken to us.
Just to kind of going forward, assuming so these young people are still in school, that there will be additional bus fees, so.
Actually, the students are now with us.
I was wondering why they were going to.
They have since become one of ours.
Okay, you kind of somewhat answered my question. When I was reading this, I wanted to know where were these students being transferred from where to where? It wasn't very clear.
They were being transported from our district. They were residing here with someone and being transported to a school in Mount Greenwood.
And they were considered homeless.
CPS CPS considered them homeless based on whatever their conversation was with where they are.
Forgive me if I sound crazy, why weren't they going to school here? Were they not residents? I'm confused.
Parents could have gone to CPS and said that they had been displaced. I believe they are lives with the situation, so technically under the act, they would be considered homeless. Since that year, after that year ended, they did enroll their students here and still reside in the same address.
So Bella, I think Dr. Work can make a comment.
So within the law, you leave your school of origin, you become homeless, and it is the families right to choose when you first become homeless. So if they thought that they would go back to where they were originally residing, they have the right to go to that school, which is why you typically pick up the phone and call where they are residing, so you can work out that transportation, which is originally happening, is at that phone call meeting. You could have the right to say you need to transport in the morning, you transport in the afternoon, or we'll pay for a cab or whatever that is, which is why you typically pick up the phone and have that conversation, because families have rights to choose what they want to do in that situation.
But the district has to pay for the transportation generally.
So you have to
Stephen, I'm not sure where, just from where Roe was asking, that was one of the topics that kind of tripped me up when I first got here. Is there an opportunity to sort of just point into you two again? Education, because continuing board education is really important. But topics like that with the homeless piece really does, you're going to see things coming through for transportation and other issues that you're like, whoa, and sometimes it doesn't seem to make sense. But if you provide that education for all of us again, there's an opportunity.
Yeah, and that's something Steve and I, we'll sit down and talk about all of that, and have education, et cetera, but we can get that information.
There's also
More than one
lot.
topic that maybe comes up and shows that face.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of great resources from our district attorney's office. They have some educational push-outs that they do for our district that certainly we can cover that topic and be happy to do that. In fact, if you have any, on that note, if you have any questions about educational legal issues that you'd like to know more about, certainly email me and I will compile them and I will pass them on to the district attorney so that they can provide some sort of professional development for us.
I know you're doing their orientation, so that's, in addition, the Illinois Association of School Board has vast resources on whatever subjects you want to know anything about. Just go to the website, click on the link, or whatever subject you want, type in the search engine, and it's there.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Okay, with that, we'll move to our next agenda item, summer employment.
Okay, this is our summer help for both technology and the operations and maintenance department. This is something that's been going on for several years now. We're looking for, once again, to hire 4 their high school, college age students for the technology department. They do a lot of these kids are the computer people. They're wiping the iPads, they're doing a lot of the cleanup to leave Mr. Lee and his staff the ability to, well, wire carpentry for the summer. And they were super last year, and I think we have 3 of the 4 that are back who would like to come back again this year, and now they really can hit the ground running because I know exactly what they were doing last year. We would like to also, for not only the tech, but for the O&M people, give these kids a 25 cents an hour raise. It comes at 3% raise. We do like the fact that usually these kids will come back to us maybe 3-4 years in a row before they actually, get real jobs. But it's kind of nice to be able to give back. And also they really do a super job. Also the operations and maintenance department, they have an awful lot to clean over the summer. And they also have the regular staff who have vacation time and so on. So they help with that. On the memo, I gave you an idea, actually, I didn't do it, they did it. Scott Tony gave you a list of all the things that we do have, the summer help doing, and the summer help for the O&M department really become part of the team that cleans these buildings from tip to toe. And they do a really nice job in a really short period of time. So we would like to continue that. We are requesting 2 additional hands on the O&M department this year, especially with, again, Park Junior High, that thing needs to be cleaned down and scrubbed up along with the other buildings, and there's an awful lot of work to be done this summer to get Park ready to open for the fall.
A question I may not be yours, but it was one that was brought up last year when we did this, is we lack for open recruiting or this, because you said it is a great opportunity for these young folks to ensure that we are equal access to this opportunity.
We have posted for we like to give some preference to the kids that come back to us,
Yes.
Because we've already trained them, we put some time into them, and if they've done a great job, we would really like to have them back again.
You said.
And the 2 additional, they're posting, we're going to post those, and everyone can apply to it.
Just out of curiosity, are these typically district students that take these jobs, or is it?
You know, what did we
I
get?
have 2 district staff members, kids.
Yeah, we have 2 employees, students, their children, and then I think we had the other 2 were from the district at some point, right? I think they were HF grads, yes. And then from
Probably
about half. So we get a good number that come back.
Any further questions? Comments? Well, thank you very much. Okay. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?